Portraits, it's part 2. We're going to do the eyes, nose, and mouth. You'll need your 5 eyes wide and 7 eyes tall sheet from last week, a mirror, a pencil, a ruler, and your eye measuring tool. Let's review last week's. Hopefully you have it, but if not, here we go. We had a piece of paper. We needed to find the center for the symmetry line. We put a nice little fold in there. We made a mark. We did a quick fold on the bottom. Notice we did not fold the whole paper. We just did a little crease and we marked it again. Then we connected them. I'm making my dark, you made yours light. We needed a halfway line from the top to the bottom, but not exactly halfway, a little shorter. So for my 10-inch paper, I'm actually going to make it from 3 3/4 from the top of the paper. I'm doing that the same on both sides, and I'm making a line. This represents my eye level line. If you want more explanation about these lines and 5 eyes wide and 7 eyes tall, check out Portraits Part 1. Okay, I'm going to talk about the fact that we are 5 eyes wide. If I held up my fingers to my eyes and kind of move them along to measure, you'll notice that we are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 eyes wide. I'm going to translate that onto my paper. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put down and draw the size of eye I think would fit on this paper 5 times. Remember, you can go into the other video, part 1, to get a more thorough explanation. This is going to go fast. I'm turning this into a measuring tool. Just like my ruler has lines on it, I'm taking this eye that I drew and putting lines on the end. That's creating it as a 1-eye measuring tool. I want to find the center point, so I am going to match up the 2 ends and fold. When I do that, I can easily find the center point. Now I know where the center of my 1 eye is. I'm going to use this eye to create my portrait in proportion. I'm going to line up the center line with the symmetry line and the eye level line. The first thing I want to do is actually mark on my paper the 5 spots for measuring the 5 eyes wide. I'm testing first. I lined it up in the center and then went 2 to the right. It seems like I chose a good size eye, so I'm going to mark these for real on my paper. I put my eye measuring tool in the center. Then I moved it once to the right and a second time, but noticing this time I am marking my paper lightly. Now I'm going to go to the left side. I need 2 more eyes there for a total of 5 eyes wide. I'm going to make my marks darker and longer. It's just easier to see on the camera that way. You wouldn't do this on your portrait. Now I've got to go for the vertical length of my face. The way to determine all of these sizes are through observation. We've done this before with the previous video. We are 7 eyes tall. The first one is in the center. You'll notice I put the measuring tool there in the center. And then there would have been 3 eyes above and 3 eyes below for a total of 7. And remember, everything is ish. There's always room for making slight changes with your portrait drawings. Again, I'm making my lines darker so you can see well. Here's what we have, a total of 5 eyes wide and 7 eyes tall. Are you ready? It's time for more observation. You in your mirror, me on my photograph. Let's review. We are symmetrical. Here's the line of symmetry that we've already drawn. Symmetry means whatever's on one side is the same as what's on the other. We also know that the halfway mark on our face is our eyes. We're doing this to keep ourselves in proportion. We are going to relate everything to the size of our eyes and their location. That's how we're keeping it in proportion. Proportion is a relationship between sizes, and our measuring tool is our eyes. Let's move on to our nose. On our symmetry line, we've marked 7 eyes tall. If you observe, we'll notice that our nose is down 1.5 eyes from the eye level line. I'm showing you again with the eye measuring tool. See how there was a half of mark underneath and 1 more full eye, 1.5. Okay, what about the width? If you held a pencil up next to your nose, you would notice that it kind of lines up with the inside corner of your eye. So I'm going to make that mark. This is mapping. I'm drawing some lines to kind of figure out, how does our face work? How do things relate? Our nose is 1 eye wide-ish. Let's observe our mouth. First things first, how wide is it? If I take a pencil and hold it up with the corner of my mouth, it kind of lines up with the center of my eye, my pupil. I'm going to continue with my mapping. I'm lining my ruler up with the edge of my mouth, and I'm going to draw the line which connects the edge of my mouth with the center of my eye. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side because we're symmetrical. What we learned from that is that we have a mouth that is 2 eyes wide. Next, how far below my eye level is my mouth? You'll notice the tick marks. It is about 2.5 eyes below the eye level line. That's for my bottom lip in my case. You might have a slight variation in there, but my bottom lip is about 2.5 eyes below my eye level line. Let's get started. We're going to start with our eye. There's a reason we did our 5 eyes wide and 7 eyes tall. That's so that we know where to put things. So the first eye will go 1 eye over from the center. So we had marked 1 spot in the center, and then to the left of that is 1 eye, and to the right of that is another eye. If you need a thorough eye demonstration, go watch a previous video called Drawing Your Eye. When we draw our eyes, we're not looking at both of them in the mirror. Pick one. Which one do you want to draw? Observe in your mirror and draw what you see. When watching me, it seems like I'm drawing really fast. I'm not. I cut things out and I sped up the video. Your job is to look in the mirror, observe one side, then take your time and copy the other. Take your time. Go slow, make corrections. Maybe turn your paper sideways so you can see where things don't match up. We need to be symmetrical. Don't be trying to keep pace with the video. Pause here, finish the eyes, and then let's move on to the nose. Next, let's work on that nose. Remember, we did mapping, we did observing, and we observed that our nose was 1 eye wide. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my measuring tool, I still have that, and I am going to mark 1 eye wide for my nose. And I'm just making light marks. Don't make these harsh. That's how wide my nostrils are going to be. Look in your mirror. Look at one side of your nose and draw. If you need a very detailed direction for drawing a nose, follow along with the video that was done previously of drawing your nose. Remember, we're observing one side, paying attention to positive and negative space, making slight adjustments with your mapping. Then when you're done observing, put that mirror away and then copy. Remember, we need to be symmetrical. So the best way to make that happen is try to match those sides. Again, don't try to keep pace with this video. Pause here and finish that nose. With your eyes and nose done, it's time to move downwards to the mouth. We've already observed and mapped. Let's do it on our paper. If you need a more detailed direction, follow a previous video I made called Drawing Our Lips. Step 1, the width of our mouth. When we took a pencil and lined it up, it lines up with the middle of our eye, and we determined that our mouth was 2 eyes wide. So I'm taking my eye measuring tool and I'm going below my nose and I'm measuring 1 eye width to the left and 1 eye width to the right. Have you noticed how much use we got out of making this eye measurement tool? It's keeping us in proportion. One of the observations I made earlier was that the bottom of my lip was 2.5 eyes from my eye level line. So I'm going to start with that information to figure out where I'm going to put my upper lip. Through observations, I've determined that my upper lip is kind of halfway between my nose and my lower lip. I will make a small mark to show that. Next, I need to determine the line that's created when my upper and lower lip meet, which isn't quite halfway. My upper lip's a little thinner than my lower lip. Now I'm going to observe in the mirror and draw the line that gets created when my 2 lips meet. Once that line is drawn, I'm able to draw the line of my upper lip, which will create a shape for me to look at, and the line of my lower lip, which will also create a shape. In here you might determine that either lip might need to be thinner or fatter, so make adjustments as necessary. Remember, you're observing one side, making all the changes necessary, then putting that mirror down, and you will copy. Hopefully you're noticing as I work, if I see other issues somewhere else, I fix them as I go. I noticed I couldn't have my lips copied the exact same way if my nose above wasn't the same. Hopefully you noticed that. Take your time. Again, pause this video. Finish those lips. I'm kind of showing you here again how I would keep doing rework and rework, erase. Turn your paper, look at things from different directions. Then when you feel like the outside shape is good, add in detail like we did when we did drawing your eye, drawing your nose, drawing our lips. This isn't something that needs to be done in one sitting. Look at it, work on it, set it aside. Pick it back up an hour later or a day later so you can look at it with fresh eyes. Then I'll meet you back here for part 3 and the rest of our features.